get calls and texts basically every day.
That's amazing.
And then there's like
so these are all from the same Google.
Yeah,
number.
so it's
Okay.
it's a Google Voice number that goes direct to my cell phone, and yeah, so like text is best, but I answer it when I can. If I'm doing something, I don't answer, but I always text back. So these are all, I don't know, every day I get a lot of text. I haven't from for years.
So those were all from the same person?
No,
Okay.
that was from the same person, but these are all different people. And then I have some regulars, and like I have some guys who like ask me relationship advice, which is I'm not qualified to give, or like people like hit me up with like, there's been a weird through line. A lot of our fans have like drug problems. I don't know why, or they're depressed.
What was the impetus there? Like, what could you have possibly been thinking?
So, because it's just funny, but we did a video, Die Slow, for our second album, Get Color, and we're like, all right, we got to put a phone number in there. You know, I always thought that'd be really tight, and then we couldn't get a phone number. Like, oh, we should have got a real fake phone number. And then now it's like Google Voice comes out. It's like, shit, you can just have a phone number. So we just put the phone number in, and like, well, what do we do with it? And it's like, well, I just have to go to my cell phone. Also, like nowadays, man, personal connection to fans, Twitter. You know, like I feel like kids like watching motherfuckers play Twitch all day, watching someone else play a video game, or watching YouTube with some asshole talk about politics with his face in the camera. That's like simulating a friendship. It's shit you talk about the friend with. That's how lonely people are. So I'm like, shit, you want some friends? You want personal connection? Call my ass.
It's interesting. You know, I actually just had do you know Douglas Rushkoff? He's like a media theorist. I just had him on the show recently. We were sort of like talking about this, about how whether technology is isolating or connects people.
I would say it's definitely isolating.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it seems like you're trying to sort of leverage it in a way in which you can actually like reach out to fans in a way that you wouldn't even like touring, right?
Yeah, I was kind of like, we come from like a DIY noise background. It's like when I was really young, like, you know, under 18, I'd be like, go to the show, and I'm like, oh shit, I could just go talk to that guy. It's the guy in the band. So I'm like, you can fucking talk to this guy all you want. And it's like also I was experienced like a lot of like, I got a lot of like PWG and like indie wrestlers. Like there's like when you have a personal connection, you want to see them succeed. You like really root for them. And that seems to be this weird thing with like kids today, like perceive any sort of the difference between artist and fan is very different, where like the personal relationship seems to be a big deal for people. So
wait, so how is that connected to wrestling?
Oh, fucking indie wrestlers. They just like, I don't know. There's like a weird renaissance going on in wrestling right now. And like, you know, like Young Bucks and like Cody Rhodes, like so much of that trust and goodwill that they've been done where like fans would fly over. They put on this indie wrestling show that like broke all records. They had like over 10,000 seats. So like people were literally flying from cities to do it just because they like the guy so much. You want to see them succeed. So your fans are literally like, you know, like people now, like people fucking Patreon some guy on YouTube. Yeah. You just, you want him to see him succeed. So for us and our fans, it's like, hey, I'll kind of be your friend for real. You can just call me.
Do you feel like you've actually had good interactions? Has anything fruitful come of that?
Yeah, totally. Most of it's confusion, which is kind of funny, or like, hey,
most of it's like probably 20 texts of somebody like assuming that it's not a real number and they're not actually talking to you.
Yeah, then I'm like, no, it's really me. And they're like, oh, that's tight. I don't have anything to say. But there's a few people, like, I've had a few ones where like in the beginning where like some really disturbed people call me where they're like, yo, your video's about me. I'm going to commit suicide. I know you're trying to send me the messages. And this is early. I wasn't good at like an argument. I'm like, man, the universe doesn't care about you. I'm going to make a fucking video. Then I was like, oh shit, that's just terrible.
Yeah,
I can't.
Maybe.
Yeah, like,
maybe nihilism isn't the way to go.
Yeah, something else, bad advice. But now, I'm very, very, very positive.
Yeah.
But it's all positive. It's like any kid is hitting up. It's obviously a fan of the band and like is kind of tickled.
I mean, it must be interesting to sort of find yourself in a place where people don't believe it's you that they could be talking to.
I guess so, because they assume to be a recording. But if I answer, like, it's just kind of funny. It's
sort of like the state of music now, right? I mean, unless you're a handful of people, this is kind of like you've kind of hit, I think, like the heights of like, being sort of an indie rock level band.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe. I guess the height's not that high.
Do you feel like you're continuing to get bigger with each subsequent?
Yeah,
record?
but we don't have any jumps. It's like this extremely incremental climb. Everything, it's always growing, but it's not growing. It never grows. But it's just this very incremental uptick.
How do you measure that?
I don't know, just like, people going to shows, people buying stuff. Also, like, I do the merch at the shows, so it's like the level of fandom, the way people perceive you. That means you're attracting a different kind of person. They have a different relationship to your music.
As you get bigger and as you've been doing this for a while, there are certain things that you do have to hand off to other people. Obviously, you've got press people. Christina walked you up,
Yeah. I mean, we've had label. I would hate to do all that shit. I do merch just because from the background, and then people just like it, and then I don't know, I have a passion for retail. Like I design the shirts. I don't know, I used to work at like as a salesman at like Guitar Center or like Blockbuster Video. I was pretty into it. Not that I'm selling anyone any shit, I'm just selling a fucking t-shirt,
I mean, do you like, is there an aspect of that you miss?
No, it's a fucking horrible job.
You said you were into it.
I like selling stuff.
You're good at it.
I don't mind I don't mind sitting at the merch table. I guess what I mean. And also, like, I saw a lot of like whatever you want to call them, punk bands or whatever, like dude in the band would sell the shit.
You know, I had a ton of retail jobs before I started in editorial. I will say that was more high stress than anything I've done since. There was something about it. It was like, I don't know if this the till or the dealing with customers, like counting money, all that shit. Like I would have fever nightmares over that sometimes.
I worked at that's how old the fuck I am. I worked at Blockbuster Video, and people were fucking pissed all day. Yeah. So that wasn't tight.
Yeah, I worked at record stores when those were still around. So
that would be cool. I always wanted to work at a record store. I always thought that'd be cool. I would picture it'd be like High Fidelity or something like that.
That's the dream, and then you end up working at. I mean, so you're from California originally?
Yeah, I'm from San Diego.
You remember the warehouse?
Yes, I used to go to the warehouse.
That was one of my first jobs.
$16.99 then.
Yeah,
in the 90s.
Or and up. I think it was like 17, 18, 99
ridiculous.
Tower Records. Yeah, but yeah, it's like anything else. You know, it's kind of nice to be in and around music, unless it's a corporate setting, and B, I don't know. There's something about like getting close to what you want to do that like seeing how the sausage is made that kind of kills the romance behind it.
Of course. You don't want to go behind the curtain or whatever.
You guys were pretty hands-on, it sounds like, on pretty much every aspect from the beginning.
Yeah, but I mean that's pretty typical, you know, in the indie or sort of DIY realm. I guess I do all the sort of artwork and branding, whatever the fuck you want to call it, with the band. But yeah, we've been also we started like we literally, you know, we from the very inception we would like book tours on MySpace, like play like some basement, you know, to some hardcore kids or just totally random shit throughout the country, and we did that like on the reg every 3 months.
You've directed a number of music videos too.
Yeah. I went to film school. Then I was like working.
I wish I could capture your face as you say that.
No. I mean, no, it's tight. It's just like I was like when I first moved to LA, I didn't go to college, but I went to this like 1 year broke ass film school. And then I was like working in TV, and I'm like, man, this is fucking terrible. And I'm like, I could just see my whole 20s going by real fast of me working these 12-hour days. And I'm like, I'm gonna be so fucking bitter. And I was in the LA and the noise scene and like the smell and all the shit was like kind of popping right then. I'm like I gotta make a band for like 1 year and like make one record. Like Jim Jarmusch, like he has this post-punk band called like the Del Byzantines. Yeah. Then he became Jim Jarmusch. I was like, I'll do that. And so then we started doing it. And
just to sort of like keep yourself busy while you were.
I was just like, I gotta be young. Bullshit. I gotta join the music scene somehow. I gotta do something cool. Then I made the band, and then we like it actually started doing. And I was like, well, shit. The odds of having any artistic success are so remote. I'm like, well, I can't fuck that up. We'll just keep going. And then shit, Christ, we're still going.
So you weren't really serious about music prior to that?
No, I was super into it.
But you weren't like performing much.
No, this is the first band. I guess I had a band in high school. It was definitely not professional.
Do you feel like you were proficient at your instrument?
No, I'm terrible. I like to think I'm
still.
No, I'm like I'm good enough. I'm good enough to play.
Like at this point, how many years has it been at this point?
A lot. I mean, I'm not. I should be a lot better than I am. But no, I'm good enough to play our music. I can play songs. It's fine. I'm just saying, like
yeah.
I cannot shred. I'm the bass player though. Like our songs have very simple bass lines in our new era. Our old era is more so like the kind of shit now. It's like a very software based bass line where it's like holding notes.
As far as like on record, it's actually done through software.
There is no on the new, except for this one song on this record. On the new records, there is no live bass because I want that sub UB. I mean that shit is that sine wave is. Well, actually, most of the time you're just using 808. It's like nothing is bigger than that. That's like the dream.
Walk me through that. Like, how does your role change as the band moves more towards software?
Well, I'm the software guy, so for me, it's not really an issue. It's just about making the tune, and also it's like, man, that software bass is the best bass ever.
It's a very different experience, like sitting at a computer versus.
Totally, and that's different. And we wrote everything in a room. Yeah. And there's like a lot of awesome virtues to that, but just sort of like changing with the times and like stuff we wanted to do and like how we wanted the records to sound, like getting them heavier and doing things that are interesting because like, well, everything on the computer is limitless, and also the most innovative stuff that we're getting into, it's like being created on computers. So it was definitely a very hard transition where we sort of converted the band.
When did that happen?
So that's like from Get Color to Death Magic, and in between we did the video game. Max Payne 3, but
that was like only like a record or two ago.
Yeah, right? but that length of time, it's like a lost weekend. Yeah. So Get Color comes at 2009, and Death Magic comes at 2015.
So by lost weekend, you mean 6 years?
Yeah, like really lost weekend. I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Like this insane amount of time to figuring out like this very. We did a video game in the middle. Yeah. We did touring, so I'd say maybe it's more like a 3-year lost weekend. But figuring out how to make this new electronic version of us that still kind of works like a band.
So that's the explanation then for that a chunk of that 6-year gap was that you were.
We made the record Death Magic a few times and scrapped it, all the same songs. Like production sucked. We were really unhappy with the production and Get Color, and then we were trying to like retool everything to be this electronic sound, and then like having it work and sound good and make sense, and there's like a lot of trial and error, and we had to find a guy who could actually, it was actually ended up being 2 producers in a row to like help us finish it. You know, you really lose perspective. You've been like trying to make something happen for years. Yeah. You know, but it's not like it had to be that complicated. Now that it's done, it's like we can just do another record at the normal length of time.
I had John Vanderslice on the show. What he said to me was one of the reasons why he's like stuck to analog is because you almost get too many choices with computer, in that like you can sort of like sit there and futz over something for a million years until it sounds perfect. At a certain point, like when you're recording in the studio, you just kind of have to rip the Band-Aid off and go with it.
Well, we very much embrace the modern way of making it because of the frustrations we've had of earlier records doing sort of old school, or like the second record, which we like we chose to do analog, which is really stupid, and ended up going digital anyway, and it's like the worst sounding record we've ever done. All the pratfalls with it. So like the shit of the computer now, it's pretty tight. You can like revisit it and like keep working on it.
And at a certain point, you do need to ship a record.
Oh, of course, yeah, you got to get done. But for the big thing for me, it's like we've really tried to make really intense or like heavy music. It's like I want more dog. Dog is we say being heavy, like more dog. Like, give me more dog. It's like I gotta have that sub bass. I want those like screeching highs. Like the computer give me all that shit. Also, you can like. Now it's like all the old school. I'm like, dog, you can like rock transients on like a snare drum, so like it makes you blink when you hear it. It's so fucking piercing. Like you can just rip someone's head off with the fucking regular ass computer. It's like, why the fuck would I be like killing myself like analog take to get like a fraction of the power?
Do you feel like you're getting heavier as you progress?
Yeah, this new record is this record's got a lot of dog, and it's like it is way heavier. Obviously, and it's. Yeah, we're getting heavier. We'll get like Pantera. You just keep getting heavier until it's getting less and less musical until like kills itself. Or like it's just not as good because it's too crazy.
You're gonna just like loop background into noise or something at a certain point.
But I do love that Pantera is like kind of awesome. Like they just kept getting heavier until it like becomes harder and harder and harder to listen to, and less song like is hilarious.
It's almost like you're like fighting against something because most people as they get older they get like mellower in their old age.
Well, I don't know. My obsession with music and what I liked about music the most. Now that I'm older, I can appreciate others, but like I want because you're so full of fucking calm or whatever. You just want to get off, and like I love the intensity and the speakers and the sounds. Everyone has good sound. Everyone has good speakers now. Everything has bass. You know, the shit sounds good nowadays. The 2000s are so rough. All these indie bands had like could do whatever they wanted on the corner, and everything sounded like shit and it was super thin, and we were in that transition train. Everyone knew it sucked, but in the future it's going to be good. It's like now we're in the future. It's like these plugins destroy. If you want, you can make an old school indie record sound exactly like that cool record from 1980, whatever, if you wanted. Yeah. There's all these new wave of bands that just sound like you couldn't tell when they're from, which is either exciting or not exciting. But man, you got all these tools at your disposal. Like shit can be huge. It can sound great. It can sound vintage, and it's very attainable.
Did you have to teach yourself all that programming for that?
Yeah,
record?
but the magic. Yeah, I did. But now it's like shit is so much easier.
Yeah,
it is crazy. Like it's crazy how good everything is now, and how easy it is.
Why are the remix albums so important to the band?
They were then. Now I can't get anyone. No one gives a fuck about a remix. Basically, back then we were coming out early. We couldn't. We're this base of this, especially our first album. It's like it's this atonal noise band, but we had like a little bit of a press profile. It's like to get people to pay attention. I was just like going on all these blogs. I'm like, man, all these shitty bands I don't like are these dope remixes. Yeah. Like, we should just be getting these remixes. We get these blogs, and it was just such a fertile time. Every single remix we did was just brilliant. That Bloghouse era, like amazing shit. And so and also the big impetus was the Crystal Castles thing. We'd hit them up to do a split. They wanted to do a remix, and we did a remix and a split, and that broke them in the UK, and also became this like huge like promotion for us. And it was such a great song. We're like, fuck, can we just keep doing that? And so we did, and we just kept doing it. Then it was this remix album. We did another one. This third one was such a struggle because remixes have totally fallen out of favor with the streaming era because no one cares. Just the way we listen to music with streaming. So what we're doing now, which is much more exciting for people now, is we're just doing these collaborations where we're doing just 2 artists making a track together.
How's streaming killing it?
People just listen to music differently streaming. Like you're not tracking stuff down. Even though when downloads were like killing the business in terms of money, you had to work to download that album. You had to go out of your way to go get it, and you would listen to it on your own time. Now it's like, I think with streaming, it's like shit, and it's a lot true with the phone. Like shit has to just show up in front of you, or shows up on a playlist, for you to really hear it. So for you to be like, I want to hear the alternate reworking of some song, it's like that it doesn't really enter the equation.
You mentioned, I think, it was before we started recording, but back in the warehouse tower days, you would spend like $17.99 for a CD.
Oh yeah,
You're committed. And you're a kid. You're committed to that.
Oh, you know how much money that is when you're a kid?
Yeah, I'm from the Bay Area. So I'm from the East Bay. So I would have to go to like San Francisco or Berkeley, and I would have to comb through all of these bins to get something. And because of that, like I'm going to commit myself to this record. I went out of my way to get it. I spent my hard-earned cash on it. But now when something comes up in front of you on Spotify, I don't think we give records the time that we used to.
Are you kidding? Like in the fucking 60s, man, you couldn't even listen to your car. So you'd like buy the LP and you'd go home and you put it on and you'd fucking just sit there.
Yeah.
And you'd look at the art, like the level, what's his fucking name? Malcolm McLaren. He called it. He was like, when the Walkman came out, he was like, music is going to keep getting more and more disposable and more accessible. You have less of a place in your life. And he was right. So like, hey, we live in a society, money talks. Like you pay money, you pay attention. And like, yeah, everything's for free. Everything's immediate. Like it's not gonna have the same power.
But the album is still important for you, or at least for
us. Releases. I don't know if it really is, but we're just, that's how I got into the game. I really love albums, so we're making an album. If you want to listen to the album on Spotify, you can. We don't have it like we sequence it in a way to really be played and really end to end, but like it's not. You can listen to it out of order. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not like it's like a fucking Pink Floyd where it's like, these super crazy transitions or anything. I still listen to Spotify though, man. I'm not going to poo-poo anything.
Sure.
I don't fucking touch vinyl. Fuck that shit. Like I'm just like, it's so hard to move your house. Yeah. So yeah,
that is literally vinyl and books are the two things that are keeping me in my apartment.
Yeah, you get anxiety about moving. They're so heavy. Of course, listening to vinyl is tight, but I'm really into Spotify. I listen to albums on Spotify. I do wish they wouldn't. They keep trying to push you to randomize or radio and like totally destroy any album format, which is a bummer.
Yeah.
Because I think the album is really awesome as a music experience, but totally get why it's outdated. However, we're still going to make the record. We're still going to make an album.
Given all the access we have, and given the fact that you guys at this point are certainly pretty tech savvy, at least when it comes to the making of the music, it's easy once you produce it, theoretically, to just sort of get it out in the world, right? To just like get it up on Spotify or SoundCloud.
Yeah, and that's pretty fun too. Like, how like you can get shit. Yeah, you can get shit out. You can do it really fast. That's what's cool about these collaborations. You can feel like it can be a lot more fast and loose. Like we have a bunch more coming, and like we did these like the fastest we've ever done anything, and like that's really liberating. And we got to like so you got to do this cool shit. It's like we got to work with like some different singer, like guy like Perturbator, who's like we really respect, and like do like a really sweet track. So it's pretty cool.
What does that collaboration look like? I mean, are you guys ever actually in the same room?
Yeah, most of them were in the same room. The only ones we weren't, the Soccer Mommy one, we did it with Corin from Purity Ring, and we sent it to her, and then she sang on it, and we went to her show and she got really sick, so we couldn't talk to her. So we still haven't met face to face, but I saw the show. Perturbator he lives in France, so we did that over the thing. But like Youth Code, like they went to my studio at my house. We just did that, over a few days, and then we have these other ones too, but I can't say what they are, and they're really good.
Okay.
And they keep getting delayed.
How important is that face-to-face collaboration?
It makes it a lot fucking easier. I'd say better.
The idea of getting a bunch of people in a room and playing all their instruments, that's one ideal, but how do you actually collaborate with people in person when you're doing it through?
It's just kind of how they do records now. So even if we were using instruments, there's still going to be a producer, or basically someone is controlling the computer, and everything's going to happen once it gets to the computer. Someone's just sitting there. So whether you do a live instrument or not live instrument, doesn't matter, because it just becomes some audio that's in the computer that you move around and you structure. So it's kind of the same thing. You don't have to maybe record some shit. And we still do, like we'll record some guitar or some vocals, but man, shit's so easy now. You just plug it right in.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You know how hard it was to record records in the old days? It's insane. We recorded our first record by ourselves in the smell with no knowledge, barely any knowledge. We read a few tape ops, which was actually a terrible idea because we got our fucking mind mixed up about like how the pros do it, and like they're really opinionated old guys got all mixed up. But like we've done that. It's a lot of work.
So I've been living in New York for close to 15 years at this point. I've got a steady job. I've got like a decent apartment. Every so often, guys, I sound like such a douchebag when I say this, but like you get like a tinge of nostalgia from when you were roughing it. Like in the early days.
Nostalgia is like it's killing you. I watched the movie Clerks the other day. I couldn't watch it. I like 5 minutes into Clerks, the nostalgia was so intense. I started like losing it. It's like nostalgia is weird. It makes you depressed
for things that you like hated at the time,
or just weird. Like that's a funny thing too. Like the late '90s, I hated it. It was all so tasteless, and that's why I got into cool underground music and shit. Now looking back, I'm like, man, I should have just fucking lightened up and enjoyed that shit. This shit's hilarious. It's shit's so different later. Like,
but is there something about this or like those early days? Granted, it doesn't sound as good when you're recording in a venue with these older methods, but
I love the first record. But with all all its foibles. But what is nice, it's just like getting to, you have the idea, you're trying to execute it, and like it is easier than ever to get what you want. It's still hard, especially with like this production shenanigans or shit we're trying to do these songs, or like a lot of the shit for these songs. Like I got an idea, not musical. It's like, how would you even do that? You know, this whole
like
band,
an aesthetic or a concept.
just these concept. This whole band has been all this, you know, because also it's like I'm not like a natural musician. It's like, and Jake wants to. We always collaborating, but like, just having some fucking random ass idea and like conceptually, like, you know, the first time we literally like I would like write on a piece of paper with words like an arrow. All right, guys, this is the song we're gonna write. Like, there's no music involved. So the first time if you hear it, it's just like blah, 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 you know, it's all fucking barely music.
It's like volume or
no, I'd be like, fast part that goes like this, moving into ramp up this. It's just like, it's just picturing like this is the kind of music we need to make. And so like, and even now it's still, obviously we're like a lot better and like a lot more musical, a lot more grounded, you know, because when we were younger, we're just out of our fucking minds. We're going to do a song like this, or like, we're going to have this production thing, or it's like kind of be like this metal thing, but it's not this metal thing.
But that's interesting though.
Bass and this thing.
You're almost describing like an analog version of what you're doing on the computer. You're like mapping out a song in a way that people don't always do when they're just playing.
I mean, I guess so. I think it's a really bad way to explain a song.
No, yeah, but like it's interesting that the band came together that way.
It is actually interesting, and it's amazing work. But the great thing about the computer is instead of this piece of paper working with a live band of just complete nonsense, you could structure it right on the. But the funny thing is though, even then, or like it's not like this is like we're talking about the 2000s here. Everything's gonna be recorded on a computer anyway. First time's recorded on a computer, so it's like it ends up being the same thing. It's just this style of thinking, which I call like a rock dog thinking of just sort of how you approach it. And, you know, when you work with, like, people who are doing mostly computer music or, like, whatever the fucking pop or hip, like, they have a different approach. And you kind of just get into how it works. Or, like, or how shit now, it's, like, things always changing. Like, the plugins are so fucking good. Man, the sample packs are so good. You can just get a $10 subscription to Splice, and the shit will write a song for you.
The nice thing about first remixers and now collaborators is they're probably teaching you new ways into the music.
Yeah, everyone's got their own gimmicks, but man, you know, output this shit. Like, there's 2 songs on the radio right now that are just output patches that are doing the hit. Like, they have like a vocal like, and it's like so catchy. Like, there's two rap songs that are hits right now that are just an 808 beat, like, and there's these output patches that are like pre-made hooks that you can choose what the key is. And that company does also other stuff where you can choose the key and they have like revolving loops. Like, it's never been easier.
Does that feel like cheating sometimes?
I don't know. I can't change history. History's gonna be fucked up anyway. Like, so what you know? What can I do? So the cool thing is, I think for us is like, there's stuff we want to do. There's like a whole lineage and stuff we come from and stuff we're gonna make. It's like definitely want to use tools. And if these tools can let shit be heavier or like get more intense or whatever, then yeah. To pull off what you want.
6 years between records. Obviously, as you said before, you were doing stuff in the meantime. You were touring and you were working on the video game soundtrack. But when it sort of takes that long between albums, I mean, was it clear the entire time that you were going to do another album, that the band was going to continue?
No, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Life's falling apart. Like, I'm like rapidly getting older. I'm like, what the fuck? But the fucked up thing was like, it was the most comfortable I've ever been because we had just in the video games. So it's like we'd actually gotten paid for the first time in our life.
You're in a successful rock band. Like, that's...
Yeah, but we were like dead zone. And like, and music was really changing. And also like, we wanted to do all this like electronic stuff and people were trying to like reach out to like work with, didn't really see us that way. And like, you know, stuff was falling through. And it was like this like weird existential fear. And in my head, I was like, all right, it's like, I can't quit because we never did the 3rd album and we pissed at myself the rest of my life. And then like, it just kept taking more time. And all this stuff. It was this really weird, bizarro, like total lost weekend time. And then I have a lot of buddies in LA. It's like they're party promoters and like DJs. So I went real deep on like a lifestyle, and I'm like, is this gonna happen to me? Like, it's like, is this just a fucking everything's just gonna unravel? Like, I'm fucking falling apart. And then it's like, then we made it. It actually came together. I'm like, hey, you gotta keep the faith. Took forever, but so like now it's like this weird time where it's like we're just sort of back in it. Like, just putting out records at, like, a regular amount of time. And now I'm fucking old, which is hilarious. I, like, do the math. I'm like, what the fuck?
It was a given that this one, after the last one, after it took 6 years...
Well, now here's the thing. We can just make records now. This is why we're able to do collaborations in a few days. Like, we would not been able
to make records.
There was this, you know, it's like so much... Before we're recording it, like, either ourselves or with people, there's all these obstacles to making it happen. And then Death Magic is like, how do we even make this record and get the sound we want? And this one, it's like, we already know what the thing is. We literally work with the same exact producer. We know who can get it mixed. We know how to make it. We know, you know, we can do it electronically or whatever and record it. And then we know that it's like, we don't even need the producers like to help us finish. It's like everything working out. You can just like work with someone else and get a song done. So
you're not dependent on other people to get shit done.
Yeah. I mean, I still, someone's got to mix it though. I'm not mixing shit. I'm not a fucking nerd. Like, I want a pro.
When you lose a band member, is that another moment where you're just sort of like considering the path forward?
I think with it's Steph was already was already working, he's doing his own thing, and
he was sort of like on his way out. It felt like
I don't know. We felt like he might quit. We didn't want him to, and that was it. We wish him the best though. There's no ill will.
So 4 people, and one somebody who's like basically been in it since the beginning leaves. For a lot of bands, that's sort of like a moment for them to sort of regroup and consider what the path forward is.
Yeah, I think the path forward was this like long slog of just like trying to keep the faith of getting Death Magic done, and when we did, that's sort of the way it's going to work from now on. So like we know how to do that.
Like everybody's roles shift a little bit.
Yeah, totally. Because it's like everything's different. Like we'll play live differently. Like we had a scramble. We did that tour as a 3-piece, and we're fine with it. So like from then on, we've been a 3-piece. Which is fine.
Whose idea was a video game? The first one. I know you're on number 2 now.
Oh, that was no one's idea. It just like we got a call. We were in New York. We played a show, and they're like, "Hey, Rockstar would love to take it to dinner." And in my head, I'm like, "Oh man, what if they asked us to score a game?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, that would never happen. And then we went to dinner, like, "So what do you guys think about scoring a game?" I'm like, "What the fuck, man? That's crazy."
So that was like a dream for you?
Yeah, I'm the only guy in the band that plays video games. I'm a huge patron, especially of Rockstar games, but also like I play a lot of video games, man.
Now that you've been doing this, nobody's playing. People haven't like picked up games a little bit more now that they're on that side of things.
No, Beach is not his bag, and Jake's just like he can't figure out the 2 sticks. Jake's amazing at Mario, but he's kind of like a Luddite with that. So no,
he's sort of like a platformer, like 2D.
He's
guy.
not playing any video games.
Yeah.
Probably reading some smart guy shit or whatever. But like, yeah, I'm like, the flight here, I was playing the Switch the entire time. Shit went back in 45 minutes. Playing Civilization 6. It was amazing.
How do you write to a video game? I've seen all this footage of like people like orchestras scoring movies. That makes sense because it's like a linear.
Yeah, so movies totally make sense. You have a locked picture. You're going to score a picture. You're going to make the emotion. What's cool, the video games, it's kind of challenging in its way. It's interactive. So it's going to be programmed music, and they're going to be loops, because when you're playing the game, it's going to take different people different lengths of time to complete something if they suck or if they're really good or whatever. And it needs to be sequenced based on it. So in Max Payne, it'd be like, here's a level. If there's this many guys shooting at you, you play this much music, and if there's less guys shooting you, you play this much music. So we would do like 6 stems that could play over each other, and they were all loops. And they could be recombined in different ways. Sometimes
so this is something that you couldn't have done the way you used to make music.
No, there's no relation. This is just its own thing. And so when we work with them, they're like, all right, here's what we do. We do this system. We could go from anywhere from this many stems to this many stems. For this game, we're going to do 6. And we're like, 1 would be suspense, just like drone, dark, you walking around. And then 2 would have like, up in intensity, maybe some drums. Now 3 or whatever could be totally different. Like 3 could not work with 2. You just recombine them. Whatever, until you go all the way up to 6 where like everything is playing, and you need like tons of variation, so it feels like it doesn't feel like a loop, that it's like super random. And that would be the makeup of the music for that level. And like this new thing, like we did on GTA Arena Wars, that's not narrative, so it's just like a game mode, but that would still have, I think we did 5 stems where it's like drums, bass, like this intensity, so like they can be recombined for how you're playing that one too.
I mean, I gotta be honest, it sounds a little monotonous.
It's loops. I mean, it's a video game, like, but the shit works. Like if you're playing like Red Dead.
Oh, I don't mean how it plays back. I mean the actual process of creating it.
Well, I don't know. It's fucking liberating. When you do your own music, you're like filled with all this doubt. And you're like, oh man, does this suck? I suck. What am I doing? When you're doing the video game, it's amazing because you have a footage of a guy playing the video game, and you can put the music up to it, and you can see within 4 seconds if it's working. So there's objective proof. There's like empirical data whether this sucks or not.
So like you make an album, you don't know how people are going to react to it.
You don't know if it sucks. You don't know if it sucks. Like you are helping this movie or game, whatever. It works or it doesn't, and you can see that in 2 seconds.
When you're putting together a record, there are really no parameters, right? I mean, and for here, you've got a very strict set of rules that you need to follow.
Yeah, you got to fucking check off a checklist, and you can see if it works, and if it doesn't, or if you think it works and they don't, you get notes and you do it. So it's like so much more freeing.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, there are more rules, there are more parameters, but it's more liberating.
It's liberating that you're not stressed. Because when you make a record, you're like, does this suck? Am I blowing it? Oh shit! Why am I even doing music? You got all these insecurities.
You just go through the entire process with every song. I mean, it sounds like you enjoyed the experience.
Oh yeah, it's incredibly gratifying. The game is amazing. I love video games. I was a huge fan of Rockstar, so like it's really badass like to play it. Also, it was like really gratifying. We got to go to the studios. I got to play through the game with them and like give notes on like what I thought where the sequencing should go, so we like could help program how the music played. per level is fucking amazing. And also like, I mean, shit, this is some tightest entertainment there is.
Do the rules of the band, I mean, I assume they have to change because the music is so different and the music making process is so different.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, the entire creative process has changed over time.
But also, I just mean like with regards to making a video game versus making an album.
Oh yeah, it's not comparable.
But it couldn't have just been one person.
No, we always collaborate.
Yeah,
like the band is like each according to their own needs.
Yeah.
Well, there is a division of labor.
Yeah.
And we're all pretty much in agreement. And if you really feel something, you can like. It's not like there's not a lot of politics with it. You know, we work together. You know, Jake, myself, and Beach. There's just collaboration. Or if you really hate something, you can really, really veto it. But you got to have a good reason.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of bands who tell me that their secret to success over the years has been that it almost needs to run as a dictatorship. A lot of people feel like one person needs to have sort of like the vision for the group.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would be the Lars Ulrich of the band. I'd be the idea man.
My lifestyle determines my death style.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that movie that's really stuck with me, and like even to this day, I'm like, yo, that sounds stock, and like that line sticks with me. But no, like Lars Ulrich, he's sort of he was the vision man. He was the idea man for Metallica. Now that doesn't mean music. That's just like the idea. But we're all very much in agreement. And with that, and like if you disagree, you know, it's like we work well together, and like we trust each other. So if Jake was like, that sucks, I hate it, I'm like, well, I trust you enough that even if I liked it and you hate it, like we're gonna work around that, you know. Or we could argue about it or work through it if we really believe it. But we know each other well enough that like. I never feel like, oh, the decision was wrong. I can't believe I went with that. You know, we're close enough in agreement. So
now the process sort of starts with you putting stuff down on the computer?
Usually, like there's concepts for songs. Also, Jake writes on his own too, but Jake is not a computer guy or a tech guy, and he's writing like melodies. So he'll write like a demo with just like chords, or he'll write it on a guitar, something very musical. It's like, hey, I'm working on this. Or my favorite is like I can make a beat or like some thing that like I think is the idea, and I can give it to Jake, and he can like write melodies or write some music over it or whatever like that.
So you guys are all still in LA?
Oh yeah.
So you meet up to do this?
Yeah, I have a studio in my basement, which is pretty sweet.
You don't have like a postal service situation where you mail each other tracks?
That sounds horrible. No. And then Jake has he has a pretty sweet studio at his house too. But we usually work.
A couple records ago, it was a major slog, and it wasn't clear.
It was just figuring out how to get the production sound, all the stuff.
It sounds like there was a lot of external forces and there was a lot of shit happening in your life specifically.
No, it's not like, oh man, I had a drug problem, I couldn't get the record done.
Keep saying Lost Weekend in my defense.
No, Last Weekend I was like, yeah, I was going loose, but that was just me. Like, it had nothing to do with getting anything done. It's just like we couldn't get the production sound, and we did the record with another guy. We spent a lot of money, our own money, out of pocket, because we didn't have a record deal at the time, like a shitload of money, and like we had to scrap all of it because it like was not happening. Because there's also that time, the transitioning time. It's like there was a lot of people you'd work with in your realm. It was like this weird thing where like people didn't know how to do it. Like if you have a sort of rock aspect, they only knew how to do that. Or like, hey, we're trying to do this electronic thing and it needs to sound like this, and like they get that, but they didn't. It was this weird middle ground. And so until we found Andrew Dawson, and then we had to finish it with Lars Stolfers and Lars, who we work with from now on, it's like they understood how to do that. And it's not hard, but it was hard to explain and how people actually get it.
It seems pretty clear based on your description of the band coming together that you've taken this a lot further than you ever possibly imagined.
Yeah, I didn't plan to be doing music this long at all.
Yeah. Is it something that you can see yourself continuing to do with this group of guys for the foreseeable future?
Yeah, if we make enough money, sure. I mean, I love the lifestyle. That's the thing. I can't... You know, it's so great about music. It's like, you could be like a low-level... other forms of art or low-level anything, and it like blows. A low-level musician is incredible. Low-level musician is almost as good as like you could be orders of magnitude bigger, and the lifestyle is the fucking same, and you still have a great show, and you still have your fans, and you still get to live the lifestyle and travel, and like you still make money. It's like only music's like that. And like you could write a fucking book, the hardest thing in the world to do, and people love it, but you don't get any of that thing. When you do music, you just got to hop up there and do it over and over again in real time. People being like, yeah, I like it so much. Thank you. They're just throwing praise at you. Like, there's nothing. Music is this total cheat code. That's why music is such fucking shitbags. Like, it's for all the arts, it's the least amount of work for the most amount of reward. It's crazy.
I mean, obviously, as you said before, it hasn't been exponential growth, but that you've continued in that upward trajectory.
Yeah, it's never gone down, but it only goes up incrementally.
People start hitting like the 15-year point, especially people who are like on the indie level.
So
and they're just like, at a certain point, like, I don't know if it's my fans have gotten older or if just fewer people are coming out to shows in general.
Well, it should happen. Hey, man, music is like, I don't love fucking the band's 10th album.
Yeah.
Shit sucks. Like, I like bands they don't age like fine wine. I usually like the band's first albums. Like, it's a young man's game.
So how do you keep it fresh? I mean, how do you keep it different from
I think because we don't. Well, I don't know. Maybe it isn't. Who knows? Like that's the thing. You don't know.
Yeah.
It's
but again, things are going in the right direction. At least.
You wouldn't know if it would suck. But I think what's kept us in this sort of weird thing where it's like I feel like we're like a band's band, or like we have a lot of industry goodwill because it appeals to like people who do music. But because we don't really have a genre, and because it's sort of always moving with the times. With our sound, it's like we kind of have this like point of view for the times, like keep making stuff. Whereas if we were like part of a movement or part of a moment, it would have been like that was amazing. But then it's like that happens and it's like dated to that time. That's what would keep it going.
There you go. That was John Famiglietti, bass player from Health. Thanks so much to him. Their new record, Volume 4, Slaves of Fear, is out now on Loma Vista. Thanks to Hector at Chromatic for helping set up that conversation. Thanks to you guys, as always, for listening to the program. If you like the show, there are a number of ways to support us. You can rate and review us on iTunes, Google Podcasts, we're on Spotify and YouTube now. Like us on Facebook. If you have any feedback, it's rylcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Tumblr, that's rylcast.tumblr.com. That is the first and best place to get all your RIYL related information. And that's about all we got for this week, so stick around because we are going to be back at just about this time next week with another episode of RIYL.